So I just watched The Running Man, which is a remake of an 80s movie that had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Or I should say, they're both an adaptation of a Stephen King novel. I haven't read that, so I can't judge how accurate it is to the book, but it is very different than the 80s movie. It does pay homage to it in some fun ways. Like, I think Arnold clearly is the president or something because he's on the money in the movie. And there's there was these dancing girls in the 80s film, which I kind of thought was the best part of that film. Like, the dancing girls in that were kind of great. And apparently the people who made this film agreed because they included the dancing girls on the fictional show and kind of almost didn't change their choreography at all. So I kind of love that. So both films are about a fictional game show, basically, where supposed criminal is hunted down by these hunters uh, and killed on live television, or if they survive, they can get pardoned and be free or whatever. The rules of the game are very different. In this new movie, you have to survive for 30 days and the entire population is hunting you, like all across America. Like everyone is in on it, which is a cool concept. And I think in many respects I did it really well. There's this feeling of like you can't trust anyone, anyone can know your face, anyone is going to report you and get the hunters to come down on you, and there's this feeling of paranoia and stress related to that I think the story does pretty well, especially in the first half. I like the protagonist a lot. I think he was very distinct and fun to watch. I was invested in his goals. I was invested in his survival. And for me, that made it easier to overlook some narrative weirdness. They set up very clearly his priorities and his goals and why he's willing to join this death game to get money for his, sick kid. It's very simple, like bare bones. That's the classic. Protecting your sick kid. There it's it doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it gets the job done, and I respect that. I like the setting, a more lighthearted 1984, if you will. And woven into that is an awesome tone. It was at its best when it was like RoboCop, making fun of television, propaganda, modern corporate world, and also the counterculture surrounding it, conspiracy theorists and freedom fighters and anti-establishment types. When it made fun of everything, it was great. Now for me, nothing ruined that. For me. However, there are certain things about the story that I think take away from it to such a degree that it would ruin it for other people, and I can see how it would. And it's worth mentioning because those criticisms are very valid. It's a bit heavy-handed with its morals, it's repetitive with its message, and also weirdly repetitive with its characters. There are two sick girls, which
isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
They introduce an off-grid nut, and then a conspiracy theorist, anti-establishment type, and then they introduce a different off-the-grid nut who is also a conspiracy theorist, screw the establishment type. There are many sequences, action-wise and narrative-wise, that kind of retread ground. Like, they didn't need that much to get the point across, but they kind of felt they needed to reiterate the themes kind of over and over again through the actions of the story, and it probably didn't need that. The thing is, no one would care about that because it was almost an awesome ending, at least in my opinion. The ending was fine. If it stopped like 5 minutes earlier, I think it would have been a better ending. I'm gonna get into spoilers now. If you haven't seen it, and want to see it, maybe stop the video. So the first thing we need to address is how the theme of the story is very much about like everything is fake. Television is fake. The narrative is fake, and you can't trust anything that you see because things can be doctored. Now, this is really interesting, but it does introduce a potential problem to your narrative. Whereas if you successfully convince the audience that everything is fake and you can't trust anything, then when you have a powerful emotional moment, there you have introduced the concept that this might not be real, right? So as the Richards is like freaking out over the death of his kid and his wife, you are like, is that real? Like, did that actually happen? And you immediately feel divorced from that the impact of that scene because you don't believe it. And sure enough, you're correct not to believe it. Uh, this is not necessarily a sin of the movie, but it is notable that that causes that dissonance. I feel like if you're going that route, you needed to lean more into it, which they almost did. Because at the end, they kind of freeze the movie and it suddenly becomes uh, a part of a conspiracy theorist YouTube channel. And I thought that was gold. That made me forgive almost everything because I thought that was fantastic, where they just stop the movie and the way they do the like the uh, the graphics and uh, the way the YouTuber speaks, like everything about that, I have seen those conspiracy theorist videos, and they nail the vibe. Kind of, it's perfect. I love it, and they had an opportunity right there to end the movie there with this lack of certainty about what really happened, which I think would convey their message of like you can't trust. What can you trust? What can you this? And the nature of truth. And also, like, you could almost go for a Clue thing, right? You know how Clue had a bunch of different endings, and by the end you're like, what really happened? That kind of vibe. Honestly, I think they should have leaned harder into that because that would have been so cool and fit their theme, fit their message, because they kind of break their own message by continuing afterwards. We're showing what really happened, that he is really alive, and that is, I feel like this might have been a corporate decision. I almost wonder if it used to be end like that, and some executive was like, no, we have to know that the protagonist wins. We have to see the bad guy's house burn down, things like that. But I think it was a mistake thematically because the theme of the story is that you can't trust anything you see, and you can't trust authority figure telling you what is true and what is not. But then having the narrative tell you what is true and being like, no, 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 it is true, and you knowing, I think it breaks its whole point. But whatever. I still liked it a lot, and that that fake YouTube clip uh just brought me a lot of joy. It was a very funny movie. Uh it got a lot of laughs in the theater, although I don't think the theater was as on board as the movie hoped you were. At the midpoint, you kind of stop fearing. I mean, this goes back to the point of can't believe anything, where they introduce the concept that the bad guys don't even want to kill him. So then in that kind of deflates all the tension of when they look like they're about to kill him, right? You need to believe there is threat and that the bad guys want to kill him during the scenes that they're trying to kill him. It's kind of important. I think they nail it that in the first half. There's just after he meets a bunch of like kooky resistance fighter-ish characters. It was heavy-handed. It was some of the dialogue for some of those side characters. Just the side characters were kind of unbelievable. And then their stories are so over the top. It's like little girl with cancer. My father like was killed by his former police comrades. The hot dog guy. Oh my god. It didn't feel natural. It just felt like the movie needed to stop and tell you this is what this movie is about. And you're like, you didn't need to stop the movie to tell me what this movie about. You kind of got it across without having to smash my head in. Like, just the setting and how the protagonist reacts to the setting informs the audience enough. You don't need to tell us what it means. You don't. We're smarter than that. I think that really hurts the movie because there's a beautiful satire going through it that I think is wonderful and works well. And when the movie points out its satire, it hurts the satire. But I still liked it. I really enjoyed the movie. I suspect I enjoyed it more than other people. I'm definitely going to read the book now because I really find the concept so interesting, and I would like to see how that's approached in the original. But in the meantime, what did you think of The Running Man? The original, the remake, the book? Comment down below your thoughts, and if you would like to see more reviews like this, please subscribe. Also, a new chapter of my book just dropped, Bone Song, Diary of a Sentient Sword. I release 2 chapters a week for free in the link below. Happy reading. Take care.